Welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, we got good news tonight. That doesn't happen every day. We got more jobs and things are looking up for the economy. But of course, the Republicans are going to be Debbie Downers. We'll explain that in a second. So today we find out that the private sector added 222,000 jobs in February, and the unemployment rate is finally below 9%. President Obama shared the good news today in Miami.
This morning we learned that the unemployment rate fell to its lowest level in nearly 2 years. Our economy added another 222,000 jobs in the private sector. That's the 12th straight month of private sector job growth. So our economy has now added 1.5 million private sector jobs over the last year.
So that sounds pretty good, right? So what the Republicans say? Not good enough. Texas Congressman Jeb Hensarling put out the following statement, quote, "The real question is, why is it taking so long, and why is the recovery so weak?" So he's not having it, and guess what? It turns out it's all Obama's fault. Now here comes the twisty twist. That's new. It turns out House Majority Leader Eric Cantor decided to go to the other way and say it is good news, and it's all because of the Republicans. He called the jobs report, quote, an encouraging sign, and then said, Republicans are responding to voters' calls in the last election to change the culture in Washington. To put it simply, less government spending equals more private sector jobs. Now that's funny because the GOP spending cuts have not yet begun. They have not taken effect at all. But somehow they're responsible for the job growth. Well played, Cantor. Do they really believe it as they say it? That's what I'm always amazed by. Now, of course, what's likely to be the real result of those spending cuts? According to nearly every expert in the field, including Republicans, huge job losses. And those losses have already begun. 30,000 state and local government jobs were already lost in February because of spending cuts. Now, that's not theoretical. That's real. Real jobs lost this month. Now, when you turn to the private sector, even Republican experts are saying that the House Republican plan to cut $61 billion from the budget will kill hundreds of thousands of jobs. Ben Bernanke, and remember, of course, he is a Republican, said that it could result in 200,000 jobs lost. Moody's economist Mark Zandi, also a Republican, says it could slow economic growth by 0.5%, and that would kill 700,000 jobs. If you think all of that is bad, Goldman Sachs estimates that the Republican plan could slow growth by as much as 2%, which would mean millions of jobs lost. Now, that's all the jobs that might get lost because of their new round of cutting that's about to happen, and already we've seen some public sector jobs lost, as we saw last month. Now, this is what they promised you when they got elected.
Why isn't the president focused on creating jobs that the American people are asking for? The American people keep asking, where are the jobs? And where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Americans are still asking the question, where are the jobs? These reforms have put us in a position to start immediately in January on the challenges that the American people are demanding that we address. And it starts with a pledge to America, and it will start with jobs.
Well, Speaker Boehner, where are the jobs? It looks like they're here today. And what are you doing? You're saying, not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the other thing is, you said, you know, that you were going to create jobs. And look at all the jobs that you're now going to lose, apparently, because of your spending cuts. And what are you doing about it? That's my question. Since you took over, well, let's take a look. These guys have been doing since about January 5th, of course, since Boehner took the gavel. We can see what their real priorities are by looking at the list. Look, January 19th, they voted to repeal health care reform. Okay, nothing to do with jobs. January 20th, introduced a no taxpayer funding for abortion act. Well, that's about abortion. February 8th, House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing on federal funding for abortions. February 9th, Energy and Commerce Subcommittee hearing on Protect Life Act. Yes, that would again be abortion. February 16th, voted to slash funding for the National Endowment for the Arts. Hey, a little variety, okay. And February 18th, voted to reduce regulations for gun dealers and voted to prohibit federal funds going toward Planned Parenthood. We're back to abortion. And February 19th, they voted to strip funding from the EPA. And all that has what to do with jobs? It would appear absolutely nothing. And then on top of all that, you saw Cantor's statement earlier. Oh, why would you? We created the jobs with our spending cuts. That's what we did. Nonsense. So now today, when the news is all about jobs, Boehner probably finally did something about jobs, right? Now, I'm getting news that he apparently did not. Now, are you ready for this? It turns out he took action to go after gay marriage today. Gay marriage. Gay marriage. Are you kidding me, man? Unbelievable. They haven't done a thing about jobs. They're a joke. All right, now joining me is Congressman Jim McDermott from Washington. Congressman McDermott, thank you for joining us. Let me ask you this. Let's get right to it. Is this part of a plan by the Republicans to actually cost the American economy jobs so they can turn around and say in 2012, oh, you see that Obama, he cost us the jobs?
Well, Cenk, you've pulled the curtain away from what their hidden agenda is. You have to remember one thing. If you just remember this for the next 24 months, you will understand what's going on. They want to defeat Barack Obama in 2012. Everything they do is directed at that. And what's happening right now is their worst nightmare. Here we've got more jobs, and they say the only thing we should be doing is cutting spending. And everybody says, no, no, that's the wrong thing. You'll lose 700,000 jobs. Goldman Sachs is saying it's a bad idea. They simply have only one note, and that note is beat Barack Obama in 2012. If it costs the economy, if it costs the taxpayers, if it costs the workers, we don't care as long as we beat him in 2012.
Now, Congressman, I know you're one of the more progressive members of the House, but I got to keep it real here. Why are the Democrats playing their game? I mean, it looks like we're having a conversation about how much to do in spending cuts when everybody, including all the Republican economists and the head of the Fed, et cetera, is saying that's going to kill jobs for you guys. Why don't you guys say, no, we're not going to do that?
Well, we're caught in a situation where they're running the government 2 weeks at a time on the Republican side. They want to keep chaos in this country for the next 10, 12 months if they can do it. And our attempt is to say, all right, let's make some cuts because the president has talked about cuts. Everybody knows ultimately in the long term we'll make cuts. Let's make some and give a continuing resolution to let this thing run until next September. The Republicans will not allow the economy to settle down. They want chaos on a daily basis.
Right, but if you're dealing with people like that, shouldn't you at some point draw the line and say, look, if you do cuts beyond this, I think it's going to cost the economy jobs. So I'm not going to stand for it. Shouldn't the president draw that line and say, because right now, all we've done so far is agreed and agreed and agreed to spending cuts, and the Republicans haven't moved an inch.
Well, one of the things the president's got to deal with is if he refuses to accept some cuts, then he's going to wind up with being blamed for shutting the government down. That's the hidden agenda here. What they're doing is 2 weeks at a time, they're pushing this continuing resolution along, waiting for the time when it comes to raise the debt limit. And the Republicans think that on that day, when they have to continue resolution and the debt limit raised, they will have maximum leverage to get the things to Planned Parenthood and to the EPA and everything. They are looking to create chaos, and the president's trying to fight them. But it's a tough battle. I mean, the other side doesn't care about government. They are nihilists. They really, the speaker's just Johnny One Note, cut spending, cut spending. That's all he says. He never talks about jobs. He never talks about how you're going to make the economy work. Everything he's done has been to undermine the president's efforts.
All right, Johnny One Note Boehner, I like that. Congressman Jim McDermott, thank you for your time this evening. We appreciate it. Now turning to Annie Lowrey. She's joining me, and of course she's covering